Picture this, the Warriors trading for Paul George to pair with Stephen Curry, and they don't even got to give up Jonathan Kuminga to get it done. Let's get into it. What's good, y'all? As promised, I had to bring y'all part 2. Now, for those of y'all who haven't seen, I did a part 1 to this video where I broke down what a trade package for Paul George would look like. And I said, if it came down to it, I would give up Kuminga to get Paul George, if necessary, because it was multiple teams that was reportedly interested, which would suggest a bid more. Now, a decent amount of y'all have pushback on that, and that's fine, I get it. Paul George is old and injury prone, and Kuminga's a young up-and-coming wing with untapped potential. I agree. And those of y'all that's been rocking with me on this channel from the jump, y'all know how much I love Kuminga. But I'm thinking about Steph Curry's window and how we can best maximize these next few seasons. Jonathan Kuminga is 21, and it's no guarantee he'll be ready to be a second-best player on the championship team this season or next season. That's just me being honest. As much as I love Kuminga's upside, you're literally gambling Steph Curry's closing championship window in the hopes that Kuminga takes the leap he needs to take for his team to get to where they need to be. Like I said, it's possible, but it's not guaranteed. And once Steph Curry hangs it up, there's not going to be another Steph Curry walking through that door. The Warriors have one of the greatest players of all time, who's still at the tail end of his prime, who's still capable of leading a team to a championship, but only for a few more years. It's now or never. So that's the stance I'm coming from. Look, in a perfect world, I would love to get Paul George without giving up Kuminga. Paul George and Jonathan Kuminga on the wings, play next to Steph, bruh, don't let that happen. Because if we can pull that off, I'm talking crazy all summer. I'm telling you, that would be like the dream scenario, perfect world outcome. And I would love for that to happen. But based off the information I had at the time, I just didn't think it was realistic due to the Warriors seemingly not having much leverage with multiple other teams pursuing Paul George. But a lot has transpired in the past few days since, enough to the point that I'm confident the Warriors can trade for Paul George without giving up Jonathan Kuminga. And there's multiple reasons why I changed my stance, but the biggest one being that the Clippers don't have as much leverage as I previously thought. So I'm gonna get into that, and then I'm gonna break down how it benefits the Warriors. And then we gonna hit the trade machine so I can show you what I've been cooking up. Let's get into it. The only reason Paul George wants to leave the Clippers is because they're unwilling to give him a 4th-year max contract. They're only willing to give him the same 3-year deal they gave Kawhi. And Paul George, knowing this is probably the last max contract he's going to get at age 34, he wants a 4-year deal. And if the Clippers aren't willing to give him that 4th year, PG is ready to walk as a free agent or demand a trade to a team that's willing to give him a 4-year deal. So that's the only reason Paul George is available right now. But this is where the Warriors come in. It's been reported that the Warriors are fully prepared to offer Paul George a 4-year max contract. PG's preference is to stay on the West Coast to stay close to family. And outside of staying in LA, the Bay is the most appealing option in terms of staying close to family. You're still in Cali, and LA is just a short plane right away. The New York Knicks and the Warriors were reportedly the 2 teams with the most interest in Paul George. But after recording part 1, the Knicks literally turned around and traded everything for Mikal Bridges, which basically eliminates them as a competitor. When you combine that with the fact that Paul George prefers to stay on the West Coast, that means the Warriors are the only team that fit his criteria. A team that's willing to give him a full 4-year max contract, and a team that's on the West Coast. And anytime you hear Paul George talk about the Warriors dynasty over the past few years, it's literally nothing but love. The dude has a lot of respect for what the Warriors built here. I've also heard that Paul George and the Warriors have had a lot of conversations behind the scenes this past week or so. So it's definitely something there. And all it takes is for Paul George to decide, you know what? I want to go to the Warriors. I want to play with Steph. Yo, Clippers, trade me to the Warriors. He can essentially give him an ultimatum. Look, either you trade me to the team I want to go to, which is the Warriors. You guys can get some assets back. You're not going to get their best package, but you're going to get some assets. Or I could decline my player option, become a free agent, and walk. You guys will literally get nothing. So based off all the reports that's been coming out the past few days, that's why I changed my stance. I think the Warriors can definitely get Paul George without giving up Kuminga. But it's going to take Paul George to flex his leverage against the Clippers, which he hasn't done yet. But anyways, man, I've held y'all long enough. Y'all know what time it is. It's time to get to the trade machine. Let's fire this thing up. Paul George and PJ Tucker for Andrew Wiggins, Chris Paul, Moses Moody, and 3 second-round picks. So in this trade, the Warriors are getting back PJ Tucker as part of the package. PJ Tucker's kind of cooked, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. But he's a vet that plays hard. I think he still plays some decent defense. He can't guard the best guys anymore, but if he's just like an extra body on the bench when you need a guy to come in and just play hard and play some physical, rugged defense, he can still D up. He's just not that lockdown offender he used to be. He's basically just a goon to be out there and foul and play physical. He doesn't do anything on offense anymore. I'd like to believe he can still hit wide open corner threes, but if dude's just completely cooked, and at the end of the day, he's on an expiring contract and the Warriors could just move him. Now, let's look at what Golden State is giving up. Andrew Wiggins. Unfortunately, it doesn't make sense to keep Wiggins, Kuminga, and George. That's too much overlap at the wing with not enough minutes to go around to make everybody happy. So unfortunately, Wiggins is the odd man out. I'd much rather pair Kuminga and Paul George. You're also giving up Moses Moody. Hey, at least he gets a chance to go to a different team, get a fresh start, and hopefully get some playing time. So the 3 second-round picks going out, whatever, man. And finally, CP3, who I think was gone anyways. So the depth chart after this trade is Curry, Paul George, Kuminga, Draymond, and TJD. Off the bench, you got Pods, GP2, Lester Quinones, Kevon Looney, Guy Santos, PJ Tucker, and the newcomers, the rookie center Quinton Post and Lindy Waters. Off the bat, I'm loving this depth chart. You got Paul George and Kuminga on the wings, man. That's nasty, bro. That's a super versatile lineup. You got Kuminga, who provides the rim pressure. You got PG, who's not just a three-level scorer, but also one of the best catch-and-shoot players in the league. You got two different wings attacking from different areas of the court. Kuminga likes to live at the rim, while Paul George likes to score from the outside in. And then you got those two wings playing off the advantages Curry's creating. Bro, it's a wrap. I like the defensive versatility and length across the board. You got 6'8" Paul George at the 2. You got 6'7" Kuminga at the 3. You got Draymond and TJD in the front court. Then off the bench, the Warriors finally got some size. 7-foot Quinton Post, they just drafted. I'm sure I'll do a deep dive into him in a later video, but from what I've seen, he looks like a steal. I'm loving him, man. The roster is super balanced. You're not gonna see a bunch of small 3-guard lineups anymore. I mean, you got Paul George at the 2. He's gotta be one of the biggest 2 guards in the league. So before I get into this next trade scenario, I want to touch on the fact that the Warriors and Bucks have been in discussions on an Andrew Wiggins for Bobby Portis trade. Just that trade as is, Wiggins for Bobby Portis and salary filler, I think in that scenario, the Warriors get worse and the Bucks get better. I know everyone's down on Wiggins, but when he's at his best, he's clearly the better player. But just speaking on Bobby Portis as a player in general, he would be a great Warrior. He's a big man that can shoot. He can score in the post a little bit. He has a mid-range game. He's a really good defensive rebounder. He provides size at 6'10". He's not a good defender at all, especially guarding a pick and roll and guarding in space. But he's a vet. He has a certain level of defensive IQ. You can kind of scheme around him and hide him a little bit. Playing next to Draymond would help a lot. Offensively, he's the exact type of big the Warriors need. Another benefit, he's an enforcer. The Warriors can use some of that from someone that's not Draymond Green. But this isn't the first time the Warriors have discussed Wiggins with the Bucks. We also discussed this at the trade deadline last season. So this is something both teams are really exploring. And if the Warriors are that thirsty to trade Wiggins for Portis, I figured, you know what? Let's make it a 3-team trade. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I'm pretty proud of this 3-team trade I cooked up. All right, bear with me. Here we go. So Andrew Wiggins to the Bucks. The Clippers get Chris Paul, Gary Payton, Kevon Looney, 2 second-round picks, and a first-round pick. The Warriors get Bobby Portis, Pat Connaughton, and AJ Green from the Bucks, and Paul George from the Clippers. Now, obviously, from the Warriors side, this is a home run. You're getting Paul George, and you're getting Bobby Portis. Pat Connaughton and AJ Green are salary filler. I'm not even worried about them. This trade is essentially for Bobby Portis and Paul George. And you're sending out Chris Paul, Andrew Wiggins, Kevon Looney, Gary Payton, and a package of picks. I ain't gonna lie, this is a home run trade. The Warriors address their front court needs with Bobby Portis' 3-point shooting, rebounding, and spacing. You're getting a 2-way wing in Paul George without giving up Kuminga, Pods, Moses Moody, or TJD. Bruh, tell me I'm not cooking. Tell me I wasn't in the trade machine cooking, bro. And just to show you it's not a lopsided trade, let's look at how it benefits the Clippers and Bucks too. The Clippers are getting Chris Paul, Looney, and GP2. That's essentially $50 million in expiring contracts. They can also flip all these dudes in different trades to get back players. On top of that, they're getting a free first-round pick and 2 second-round picks. Think about it. If Paul George just leaves as a free agent, they get nothing. At least in this scenario, they're getting a first-round pick, 2 second-round picks, and $50 million in expiring contracts that could be used in different trades as salary filler to bring back other players you want. As for the Bucks, they want Andrew Wiggins. They're giving up Bobby Portis and Pat Connaughton. They're giving up the same package they would have had to give up for Wiggins anyways, because Wiggins makes $25 million to Bobby Portis only making $12 million. So if the Bucks were willing to make this trade as a 2-team trade, why wouldn't they make it a 3-team trade? Now let's look at the depth chart after this trade. You got Steph Curry, Paul George, Jonathan Kuminga, Draymond Green, and Bobby Portis as your starting 5. That's a dynamic starting 5. Now you got Paul George as the second star next to Steph. You got Bobby Portis as your stretch 5. Now all of a sudden, Kuminga can play the 3 comfortably because you got spacing at the 5. From Steph Curry's perspective, man, you got length, size, all across the board. Curry now is a legit second option to Paul George, who's an established veteran scorer. And then you got Kuminga going into year 4 that can settle in as that 3rd scorer. Yo, this team is disgusting. Their bench is still strong. They got Pods, TJD, Moses Moody, Guy Santos, Lester Quinones, Pat Connaughton, the new guys Lindy Waters, and Quinton Post. I love the center rotation of Draymond, TJD, Bobby Portis, and Quinton Post. You essentially have every scenario covered to play any play style and match up against any team. Big, small, fast, shooting, whatever you need, the Warriors have it. TJD's your athletic lob threat. That's also a great rebounder. Draymond's Draymond. He's your small ball 5. He's your anchor. Bobby Portis is your stretch 5. And Quinton Post provides sizes of 7-footer as well as 3-point shooting. Look, let's just say the Warriors were able to pull this crazy trade off. Bro, who's stopping them? They could play any play style. They can score with any team. I don't really see a weakness in his roster. They basically get to keep all their youth while giving Steph Curry a legit second option. If the Warriors made this trade, the league would be in shambles. Anyways, that's all I got for y'all. Let's get the dialogue going in the comments. Let me know how y'all feel about these trade scenarios. Let me know if you agree, disagree. If you enjoyed the content, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I'll watch you on the next one. Peace.